Okay, folks, we are ready. Get on your dancing shoes. We're going to celebrate the new book, Play Your Bigger Game. Here we go.
So, is everybody ready to play their bigger game tonight? Okay, that wasn't good enough. Are you ready to play your bigger game tonight? Okay.
How about you at home?
Oh, you're at home.
Home.
You're at home. There you go.
How about you at home? You
Okay.
ready to play your bigger game? If you're sleeping, in what part of the world you're in right now, wake up already.
And have your drink or your coffee, whatever it is.
Whatever
you're doing.
time of the day it is
Right.
for you.
So for those of you who don't know me, I am James Mellon. I own the Noho Art Center, and I'm here to introduce tonight to you the man of the hour, the man of the week, the man of the month, the man of the year, the man of the lifetime.
Okay.
Actually, the man who came up with Play Your Bigger Game. So it's very exciting for me tonight. I feel like we birthed a baby here with bringing Rick Tamlyn to the world and putting him out in the world, playing such a bigger game. I've known Rick now for over 25 years, 24 years. We're about to hit 25 years. And I can tell you this, Rick was playing his bigger game when he was a waiter at the Cheesecake Factory. He was. And he was playing his bigger game every single moment. And every single plateau he reached, he realized that there was no ceiling. Every time he got to the top of a plateau, he was on the floor again. And he was on the bottom level, getting ready to move up. And that's what this is. This is just another exciting chance for him to start something all over again. And who knows what's going to come next. So, to the man who coined the idea of the bigger game, please welcome Rick Tamlyn.
Thank you.
So I'm supposed to tell you about tonight. It's very interactive. Use your phones, tweet, Facebook. You can do hashtag,
Everything. Pictures,
hashtag bigger
video.
game. Yeah, this night is all interactive.
Hashtag bigger game.
Yeah, so even though you're sitting in a seat, pretend you're not in that seat. You're not contained in any way. Yes? Okay, it's all yours.
Okay, good. Not contained in any way. Okay, we're on our way. So, oh my gosh, thank you all so much for coming. Yes, what an honor to celebrate tonight. I notice I'm now competing with hashtag bigger game, I notice. You're all like this. Uh-oh. Do both, it's fine. So, thank you so much for coming. And here's a little bit of what tonight's about. First of all, the celebration. We're going to party afterwards. And, we've got some food and cocktails and things out in the lobby. But I just wanted to, the flow of this evening is to give you a little flavor of what it means to play a bigger game, give you some ideas and concepts to play with for you personally, for you here in this theater, and for you at home, to give you some ideas and concepts to sort of activate in you something that might put you on a trajectory of what your bigger game might be for yourself. Then there'll be some Q&A time to see if you have any questions, and we'll do an interactive piece in there as well. And then we want to celebrate a bigger game that's happening inside the NoHo Art Center as well. We're going to celebrate somebody who's doing a remarkable work right in this community here. So we're actually going to have a moment of celebration of that as well. And then we'll end, it'll be about 45 minutes total, this whole portion here, okay? So here's the deal. Well, first of all, you notice it's a big game board, right? It looks like a game board. But let me ask you a question, and this is for those of you that are at home as well. If you want to raise your hands at home, it means you're in the game. So how many of you want a meaningful life? Right? Hands go up, by the way. I do these workshops all around the globe. Hands go up in every room, right? It's consistent with the human condition. Second question of how many of you want to have a positive impact with your life? Hands go up, right? So here's the very simple equation that I've come up with, is when you are having a positive impact with your life, i.e. playing a bigger game, you are then experiencing a meaningful life. It goes hand in hand. So that's the backdrop of what it really means to play a bigger game. And I want to be very clear up front here Bigger does not necessarily mean larger and save the world and you're doing some gigantic project, unless that's what you want to do. Unless that's your game, to do something large like that. But it can be community-based, it can be family-based. It doesn't matter the impact you want to have. What matters is you want to have one, okay? Because here's what I know about every single one of us in this room. This is the jargon of the bigger game. There is a bigger game player in every single one of us. We all have the creative genius, the creative power, the creative thought to create and manifest what we need and what we want to do. We all have it in us. What happens is we get a little caught, we get a little confused, we drift into a comfort zone. We'll talk about that in a minute. We sort of get off the dime, if you will. And so the job of this night and the job of the book, that's why I wrote the book, is to inspire and put you back in touch with what matters and start to move you forward, because we all have the capacity to find it. And I want to just open up sort of the dialogue in your mind about this with a story. So it's really about the time in your life when you had that power, that sense of purpose, that sense of meaning. We've all had these moments, and here's my version of it. It's in the book. So, and by the way, this is borrowed from the workshop. In the workshop, the 2-day workshop we lead, there's this great exercise we do called Picture This. We all hold up our hands just like this. In the workshop, we go around the circle. So picture this. Here's my story. So my brother, a little shout out, Brother Keith, hi. He's a minister in the East Coast. And many years ago, he was actually had a heart condition, rushed to the hospital, pronounced dead to both his wife and to my mom and dad. Kind of a downer moment. I totally get it. Here's the thing. I know, right? Here's the thing. He's alive, just so you know I'm talking to him. He's out there. It all ends up well. But the doctor in that moment said, not on my watch is this guy going to die. He's too young. So they did 55 minutes of heart resuscitation, and they brought him back. Now, it's an example, by the way, of a moment of, that part of us that goes, not on my watch, not in my moment. Okay, that's the doctor's choice. Fast forward, 3 years later, he has some abdominal stuff going on. They go in there and find out there's a tumor the size of a Nerf football. Been growing for about 25 years, they discovered. Diagnosed with a particular type of bone marrow cancer that is only found in babies and infants. He was one of 15 cases in the world. Basically told by a major New York hospital to go home, get your life in order, we can't do anything. My sister-in-law, Betsy, and my mom both completely get activated and say, not on our watch. Go off to a different hospital, find a doctor who says, you know what, I'm going to take this case. It's a risk, but I'm going to do it. Anyway, there's this moment of me staying with him in the hospital. And this is the moment that we have these moments, and every single one of us has these moments where we find it, that we didn't know we had this in us. And so I'm staying in the hospital room with him. He's really in pain. He's had 3 operations. He's in the chemo and the radiation, the whole deal. And he's been given what is called cocaine swishes, which is like a mouthwash of cocaine to reduce the pain. And you can only get them every, I forget the time frame, but it was once every half an hour or something. And he is just in the middle of the night, Rick, I need another one. I need another one. And I go, no, Keith, you can't have it. It's not time yet. He goes, no, I need it now. I am freaking out over here. So I go out to the nurse's station, and she goes, I can't give it to you. I just can't do it. Here's the deal. It's the law, blah, blah, blah. And I am like, that moment, you find it. You go, my brother in there, this is his second chance at life. He's already died once. So I don't care about your rule. I don't care. Go get the swish stuff and get it down there and get it into his mouth so the guy can breathe. And she's like, oh, okay, Mr. Talmon. No, it was not Mr. Talmon. I was like a kid. I think I was 21, right? So anyway, I tell you that story because we all have these moments where the fire in the belly is so palpable that we will step out of our comfort zone. We will do things that are so outside the norm for the sake of something. This was for the sake of my brother. We all have a for the sake of. Sometimes we forget what that is. And so my job with you tonight is to have you realize that part of us lives in all of us and to celebrate that part of us tonight. So thank you for coming to the celebration of the book and me. I'm honored that you wanted to do that. But I want to celebrate with you, the part of you that has that fire, that has that passion, for you at home, that has that desire to have some sort of a positive impact with the life while you're here on this planet. Because that's what the Bigger Game book is all about. That's what the message of it is. So, everybody take a big deep breath. Yeah, good. So, what I want to do right now is walk you through the model, because here's the cool thing about the Bigger Game. It's a model. It looks like a tic-tac-toe board, right? A tic-tac-toe, by the way, easy to play. Strategy unfolds as you play it. Now, these 9 elements, you're going to know all these words. Not complicated. But here's where the game board came from. My business partner and I, Laura Whitworth, about 12 years ago, started to take a look at our clients in both the corporate organizations and personal clients. We started to realize what were the key elements that were having some people be really successful and others not. These 9 ideas were sort of birthed from those conversations. It will make sense as you hear it. Okay? So I'm going to walk you through it, but here's what I want you to think about as you're listening to me explain it. You're somewhere on this game board in your life right now. Imagine you're like the game piece. You have a little game card in front of you, right? Little game board. You're on it somewhere right now. No judgment of where you are. What there is awareness of, because as soon as we have awareness of where we are, then we usually know what to do next. That's what happens. We get a little confused. We don't know what's happening. The game board, this model, this philosophy starts to give us a handle. Okay, I see what's happening here. I have an understanding. Okay, now I know where to put my attention next. So imagine this model is like a guide for a conversation or a guide for your thoughts. Okay? So the game we're going to play, because the subtitle of the book is 9 minutes to learn, a lifetime to live, is we're going to play the 9-minute game. So they've given me this challenge to explain it to you in 9 minutes. Now, this has never been done before, because I tend to wah. So Jess has a timer. So we're going to see how this really goes. So again, what I want you to do is think about where are you on it as I explain it really quickly. Okay, here we go. For those that are playing the home game, you can go get your own timer and tweet me if I'm over. Okay, I better start talking about it. Okay, so tic-tac-toe board, right? For the sake of learning it, I'm going to start with hunger. Now, the word hunger, we all know it, but it's better, it's deeper and more visceral than just what do you want. It's that state that goes, this must be, I must have this. And here's a philosophy to think about in hunger. Most of us turn the dial down on our hunger because we're afraid we're not going to be able to get it. So I won't want very much. I won't really want world peace. I won't really want to impact Washington because I can't do anything. So I'll just put that hunger aside. And we start to diminish it over time. So when you're playing a bigger game, you got to find it. What is that in you that says, this is what matters to me so much? The moment with the nurse, with me, that was a hunger moment, so activated. For the sake of that, I'm going to go, get the nurse and bring her down to my brother. So that's hunger. Now, I'm going to go over to compelling purpose. It starts to feed this. This asks the question, compelling purpose, what are you about? It doesn't ask the question, what are you doing? It asks the question, what are you about? Very different question. Why are you here during this lifetime? To start to think about that, rather than just go through life and dance with your circumstances, I want you to step back and go, let me think about what is my purpose here? By the way, it says compelling purpose, not life purpose. I'm not a big fan of life purpose. I don't know about my whole life if I'm on purpose. But right now, what's in front of me is this. So that's the compelling thing that's in front of us now. For those of you that have children, you so get that. You are compelled by your children for this amount of time, probably your whole life, but it changes, right, over time. Okay, compelling purpose. Gulp. Oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. Gulp. Literally, this is what it looks like. It's that moment of, holy, I'm going to do what? Or I'm compelled by what? Like, that's my, no way. This is the territory of fear and excitement all thrown into one, like, barrel, if you will, like a mix. How many of you have been on a roller coaster? Going up one side? You're thinking, what are we half of us thinking? What was I thinking? This is craziness. I'm terrified. And then we go through the ride. What do? We get back in line. Most of us. We pay for that feeling. So this is like a measurement moment of what's the gulp in the game that I'm playing? What's the level of that? Okay, good. Investment. This is pretty straightforward. Got to invest in the game. Got to invest in you, the player. Money, time are the number 1 and 2 answers. Putting your heart and soul into it. Do I need to get allies? The whole investment conversation needs to be had. So that's the investment. Not complicated. Very simple. Allies. Here's the greatest thing about playing a bigger game. Cannot do it by yourself. You cannot. We wouldn't want to, right? But so many of us get caught in that context or that comfort zone of, oh, I don't want to ask anybody's help. I don't want to bother anybody. So allies. Now here's the thing about allies. I want you to think about this as a perspective. Every person you meet, every circumstance in your life, everything that's happening is an ally for you to guide you in the direction you need to go. Now, that's a pretty wide perspective. Most of us think of allies as the people that like me, are in line with me, and believe me. But I'm inviting you into a much wider perspective. For example, the whole conversation this week in Washington, imagine that's an ally for us, and it's moving us forward in some direction that we have no idea how it's going to go yet, rather than this horrible thing that's happening down there. Very different perspectives. Allies, a pretty broad conversation. Other things that live in here, by the way, pets. How many of you have a pet? Talking to people who have passed on. I talk to my dad all the time. He's no longer on this earth plane, but I talk to him. So there's a lot of room in here for allies. Okay, sustainability. This is about taking care of yourself. Because if you don't sustain you, the player, then what's going to happen to the game? It's just going to go away. So this is the whole context of your life. Are you taking care of your relationships? Are you taking care of your body? Because the game needs you to be around. Are you taking care of your finances? This, by the way, I get a lot of feedback on, well, I can't play a bigger game because I gotta work for a living. I go, of course you do. That's the sustainability. Go keep the job. Go keep the job going. If the game isn't aligned with the job, no problem. But, don't quit the job because then you're going to be freaking out, not having food on the table, and that whole dance comes in there. So this is a whole responsibility square of how are you doing? The other part of sustainability is designing the game that it could go on without you if it wanted to. How many of you know about Mothers Against Drunk Driving? An amazing organization, right? Anybody know the founders' names? Doesn't matter anymore. A completely sustainable, ongoing model. So that's the sustainability. Assess. Asks the question, how's it going? Step back. How am I doing with all these other squares? And by the way, it does not say judge or vote. Because that's probably the number one comfort zone that's going on in our minds all the time is we're not doing enough, I'm not doing it right, I must be doing something wrong. That self-sabotage voice that comes in there. So there's no judgment in there. What there is how's it going? Am I having the outcomes I want? Am I making the living I need to make from it? And all these questions come up inside the assess square. I'm going to go to comfort zones. Comfort zones are the behaviors, the patterns, the thoughts, the things we do that either serve us or don't. Very different than the comfort zone that is going on in our culture, comfort zone bad. There is no judgment of them. There's consciousness of them. Are they serving me or are they not serving me is the question. Having this perpetual thought in my head about anxiety, about money, or whatever it is that serving me? No. Brushing my teeth every day? Serving. Keep doing it. Right? So that's the comfort zone square. Finally, the middle square, bold action. Without bold action, what is it? Just a nice conversation. Nothing's really happening there. So that's the center square. Now, again, this is not complicated. This is really simple. So simple that there's part of us that even goes, well, what's the point here? The point here is it asks questions. So when I do this for workshops, it activates the consciousness of what's going on in a person or a team and says, how are we doing with this? What's the game we're really playing? So, oh my gosh. We need to rename the book. Sort of feels weird to clap that. That's sort of a weird, whatever. It should be 7 minutes to learn. We've got it down. So there's the concept. Again, that's the philosophy and the backdrop. So what I'd love to do right now is, if we can have this sort of be an interactive moment, I'd love to hear where are you on it, would you say, in your life right now? And again, there's no bad place. You can't get it wrong. Notice, by the way, if there's a voice that comes in and goes, uh-oh, I'm not in the right place, or I should be in some different place, that might be a comfort zone, by the way, that just keeps activating in your mind. So we have mic runners. Jess is running a mic. For those that are playing the home game, tweet your question now or your comment, and we'll interact with it a bit. So questions or a name moment too would be great. I know who you are, but
I feel like I'm in more than one square at the same time.
Brilliant, by the way, because just to name this, because my job is to layer in other thoughts as you talk about stuff, the game becomes Twister very quickly. Remember Twister? Right? It goes like this. So, Barbara, have at it. Where would you say you are? And give us a little thread of why you said it.
Gosh. Well,
pick one.
I feel like I'm somewhere between hunger and compelling purpose.
Yeah.
That the compelling purpose is just like starting to come to me, but it's not solid yet.
Right.
But I feel that
sort of the pull of it.
Yeah,
definitely. Because that's a pull, by the way. This has got a pull to it rather than a push. By the way, if you're pushing too hard in your life to make something happen, you're not playing the bigger game. You're playing the pushing game. You're trying to force something to happen that doesn't want to happen. And I love where you're looking, because that's the place to go when it feels hard. It's like, why am I doing this? What's my calling? I mean, these are the bigger questions, right? And maybe you all know this concept, but form follows function. And you're in the function conversation. What am I about is a function question. Form is will it become a book? Will it become a movie? Will it become a church? What's the form it's going to take? Right? So, any questions or anything else, Barbara, about that? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody tweeting, by the way? We having a tweet moment?
Rick, I have a question for you from Adora.
Adora in Orlando. Thank you, Dora.
She wants to know where you are right now on the board.
Ooh, what a really good question. Let's play. No. Well, it's an interesting thing to stand on a stage with all of you tonight and to. I could process this for hours. I won't. Is there a therapist in the house? No. I am. It feels like this. A little bit of a bold action to do this thing internationally. So I just noticed I'm not nervous, but there's something. Oh, this is good. Thank you for the question. Questions, by the way, give us fodder to talk about things. When you're playing a bigger game, you're putting your stuff out into the world. You're actually saying to the world, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm doing. And what I keep learning, and I think most of us get challenged by this, is the courage that it takes to put your stake in the ground and say, that's what I'm about. Because what's the world do when we do that? What does it do? It reacts, it votes, it likes, it doesnn't like. We could all have a moment right now about Miley Cyrus, right? It's a fascinating conversation. We won't, but we could. Well, one could go to, oh my God, what were you thinking? And then, the record executives are like, Great, brilliant. What were you thinking? And they're selling more records. She's selling more records this week than ever before. I mean, it's a fascinating. So who's to say what's good or bad? But the courage that it takes, I think, to put our work out into the world, So, and I'm not voting that what Miley Cyrus did is appropriate. I don't want to get into that conversation. But boy, we shut ourselves down. We start to get nervous because of the vote that's going to come back at us, and to take a stand. I mean, when you really put it out there, the moment with the nurse, with my sister-in-law, Betsy, and the doctor saying, you got to keep him alive. And that's the thing I want to point you towards, is when the going gets tough, the place to go back to is compelling purpose. Why am I doing this? Remember Aaron Brockovich, the movie? I mean, what an amazing bigger game, right? This is such a classic example. Average citizen, didn't really know, bumped into this thing in her life, and she said, I got to do something about it. That was hers. And she grabbed it, and it became her bigger game. Now, I tell you that when I tell you the compelling purpose part of it is that what I loved about that movie is the going gets tough for her. And they even tell her, you should get out of here. You should not do this. This is not your territory. And what does she do? She goes out and sits down with the people who are dying. And it reinvigorates. It's those moments of the personal connection that she finds it again. And so whatever that is for you, to find it, either sit down with the people or whatever, watch the news. We need a trigger sometimes to bring us back to, why am I doing this again? Oh, right. That's the reason. And that's the place to go when we get stuck. And boy, do we get stuck. I mean, how many of you, and I had a spin last week about, this comfort zone. Y'all have a spin. Am I the only one that sort of gets caught in a loop of thinking that is so not serving? And it gets obsessive, right? It's like, wait a minute, let me take my attention off of that comfort zone and go, wait a minute, slow it down. Why am I doing this? And if I can't find that after too many days, it might not be the right game, by the way. Might need to change. That's okay. Okay, I got a long answer to a very simple question. Thank you, Adora. Yes?
Yes, thank you, Rick. I am in assess, and what stands out for me is the root word ass.
Yes. Yes.
Because I have been there for so darn long
Yes.
that I put judgment to it. I get stuck, and then I go to the things you talk about. Oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing it right.
Right.
And it's interesting that you say that could be a place of a comfort zone.
Right.
So I just feel I've been stuck there for quite a long time.
Well, I have no idea if this is right, but this is just what came in as you were talking. I don't know where you are on the ally context, but I know when I get stuck the most, I actually have to step out of the comfort zone of being shy to ask for help. I think many of us get shy on, I don't want to bother anybody, to say, I need to have a conversation, or I need to get some support here, or I'm having a spin, can you talk me off the ledge on this one, or whatever it is. So I don't know how that's going for you personally.
Well, actually, I work by myself.
Yeah, well, that's
so
interesting.
I
understand.
Alone all day, all the time, talking to myself.
Right.
And the other day, I engaged with another real estate broker for an hour on the phone, just talking. And I felt really great afterwards.
Yeah.
So, that's a great, I might be missing allies.
Yeah. It's just, even just the conversation of connection does something. Whether you're actually solving the particular problem, I think does not matter half the time. We just need to know there's a human being over there who's actually connected with me. And we can have a conversation and something happens. The heart space opens, by the way. The mind space gets most of our attention in 99.99% of our day. The heart space doesn't get a lot. We go to movies, by the way, and we have those moments like, we have a crying moment. And I dare say our world needs more heart conversation. We've got the mind conversation going, so.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm just offering, yes, sir.
My name's Alan.
Alan Rowe. By the way, I have an absolute transparent moment. So Alan Rowe, I want to acknowledge you. So Alan Rowe, he's from Australia. Come all the way here. I hope you came for more than just this, but if you came for this, I'm just going to say thanks. Good job. So Alan Rowe, many years ago, the bigger game was sort of over. Truth be told, my business partner passed away, Laura, co-founder of this, hard times afterwards. And Alan Rowe was working for a major multinational organization. And he called me and said, I want you back. I want you to come do this thing for our a big keynote in Australia. 800 executives in a room. And I just was woken up and said, okay. And I showed up in that room, and you actually rebirthed the second round, which, by the way, turned into the second book of The Bigger Game. So I just want to thank you. I hope you know the ally that you were for me, because I thought it was over. I thought the arc of The Bigger Game was over. So thank you,
Rick.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I'm in the Gulf
Yes.
square because I've travelled 30-odd hours. My round trip will be around 36 hours, and I'm going to be in LA for 30 hours.
Wow.
So it was
Whoa.
a bit of a gulp, but I just wanted to be here, and
Yeah,
so I
thank
got
you
on
for
a
that.
plane and away I went.
Wow. Thank you much. Thank you for coming so much. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but today and in the past, I'm in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And there's no way in hell I want to go to assess, because that's going to get me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Understand.
It's pretty interesting.
Well, there's what's the insight for you there? What do you see?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear of failure, fear of loss,
Yeah.
fear of the unknown.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First of all, welcome to the human condition, right? Truly, I mean, we're scared half the time, neurotic the other half of the time, and twisted the other third of the time. Welcome to being a human. But if I could just offer a thought about it, fear. Boy, it's a huge conversation, right? We're trying to get over our fear. I wish I wasn't scared. And I want to offer you this thought that rather than trying to get over your fear, what are you committed to that's grander than your fear? That's that square up there, compelling purpose. Because I think fear is a little overrated. We give it a lot of weight. And start to think about, well, what am I more interested in than my fear? Whether that's the bigger game you want to play, or your children, or your family, whatever it is, but we will step right outside of our comfort zone of fear for the sake of something. We just will. I lead this year-long leadership program with the Coaches Training Institute, and we do ropes courses, and we throw people out of trees and do all kinds of stuff. And it's not just to throw you out of a tree. It's we got to find a good reason to jump out of that tree, and we help people find that. So, I don't know what that might be for you. We don't have a long coaching session with you right now, but there's what is that for you? And
Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to riff one more second on the whole concept of there's fear, and then there's courage and confidence. I was leading a workshop last week, and this woman was talking a lot about I want more confidence. I need more confidence to get on with my life. Have you ever had that conversation in your head? Like, I wish I had more confidence. And I kept saying, well, I understand. First of all, when you find it, you go write that book, because we'll all buy it, because we're all looking for it, So, but again, I offered this perspective that it's not so much about finding confidence as what are you committed to, and then all of a sudden you're confident. Confidence is like it shows up after the fact rather than a before the fact. So again, that we get caught in the fear, confidence, all that territory of the human condition, instead of like, well, what am I really committed to here that'll have me step through my courage, step out of my fear, if you will. So, any other question, comment? Oh, yes, sir. We got a back there. Yes. And then we'll move this forward.
Hi, Rick. It's Terry Sweeney.
Hi, Terry.
Wanted to just say hello and
Hi.
also ask more about the square of comfort zones.
Yeah.
It's the least intuitive of all of them up there for me. And say more about like what it does and how it moves you to another square, or how it can function in forward action.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. I think simply, and I'm sure there's much more nuance to it that I haven't even learned yet, but it's on there because we're always reaching our comfort zone. We step through our life and we do something exciting and we step out of our comfort zone, and then we're all of a sudden at another plateau of another one. If you think about an organization, General Motors, my dad worked for General Motors for 47 years. The SUV became the comfort zone. Didn't see it coming, but, gas is starting to go up and it didn't quite see it. Toyota, Prius, we all know that story. right? So there's a plateau that happens all the time. And I think that it's on there to create consciousness of, okay, what's the current comfort zone I'm in right now that I need to maybe step out of or embrace because it serves me. You know, great example of this one is, yeah, I'll say this. So Michael Moore, whatever your opinion of Michael Moore and the work, you know, Michael Moore, the film guy, right? Whatever your opinion of him, put that aside for a second. But you got to give the guy credit for the bigger games that he keeps playing, right? He keeps throwing it, right? Like, you know, healthcare, you know, he's got it going on. Whether you like it or not, again, kind of put that aside. But what I've noticed about him, he's not as effective as he used to be because the comfort zone of film in which he does it through is no longer grabbing us. It's like the same, oh, there's another Michael Moore movie. Like, it doesn't quite have the... So if I were to sit down with that guy, I'd go, great, what's your next one? But let's talk about the different way to bring it to the culture, maybe. Because the comfort zone of film, which he knows now, has become the only modality. And I'm not saying it wouldn't work the next time, but it's an interesting concept to realize, oh, look at that. Really successful, kind of caught in the sort of the same modality of delivery, if you will. So does that give you a little bit of concept to it? Okay, good. So, Jess, where are we on time? We need to wrap this up. So, I hope something's activated in you. Again, here's the way to think about it. Activation, innovation, some innovative thinking in you, and motivation, right? And here's the bigger game. Here's a little segue here. Bigger game of the bigger game. The bigger game that Chuck and I are now playing because he's in business with me on this whole thing. We did a bigger game expo last year in upstate New York at a beautiful location. 200 people came from around the world to hear 17 speakers talk about the good work they're doing in the world. So the bigger game that we're playing with the bigger game is to become a platform, to become a medium, to become a TV show eventually of showcasing people who are doing amazing work in the world. Because I got very motivated by it's time to put the good message out there of what's really happening in the land of positive impact. Let's start to show it. So yes to the message of the bigger game book, and we're super excited about this next level of becoming a platform. So in line with that, I wanted to feature tonight in this local community, in this church actually, this gentleman, Jamie Klein, if you would come on up. Jamie Klein is going to grab a mic. I'm going to let him speak about it. He knows many more of the details. But Jamie Klein has created something called Soup Kitchen Inc., which is having a dramatic impact in this local community. So a couple minutes of you talking about your work through that. I'll interact as needed. So
sounds good.
Thank you, sir, so much.
My name is Jamie Klein. I am on Allies. I figure we need to be confessional about this. So Soup Kitchen Inc., most of you probably don't know what that is. It's a company I've created to end world hunger. It's really quite simple. I have a line of soup. I've been in food for 30 years.
I know you're going to keep talking. Just hear that line. Can we just have a moment? To end world hunger. No, I mean, really. I mean, it's like, I just want to, I mean, you just can't, you sort of drift by that. Well, I underline it because it's like, that's hunger activated.
It is.
Like whether it happens in your lifetime, who knows?
Well, and I know that about that I'm starting the process. I'm starting knowing what I know. I would love to see the end of this because I would also like to be able to end my game and go hang out on the beach somewhere.
Right.
But I might be starting this for someone else to finish. The way it works is quite simple. I have a line of soups, and for every portion of soup sold, an equal portion is donated to someone in need. So the simple part about that is the math works. If there's 7 billion people and 1 billion are food insecure is the term, it means they don't know where their next meal is coming from. That means there's 6 billion people available to help them. So the people who can do the work, it's not really about addressing the hungry. It's about, although it is, it's about getting the people who can feed themselves to do it intentionally. And this came to me, it was not quite as dramatic a moment as Rick saving his brother's life. I was just sitting at home. It's okay, thank you. Just
it comes to you however it comes to you.
Exactly, and it was not a roar. It was a whisper, and it was really a whisper in my head of like my whiny Jewish voice as a kid whisper. I'd been cooking for years and years and years and years, and I always thought I was here to be a songwriter because I write really nice songs and never really cracked the songwriting code. But I'd been cooking and succeeding, and I just finally asked the question, okay, I've been cooking all the time. I'm really good at this, and I don't want any of it. What was the point of all of this when that's really what I wanted? And I got still, and it was that moment, and I heard in my head, I just want to feed hungry people. What does that mean? Am I just getting rid of everything and moving into a church basement and going to feed hungry people? And in that moment, I was actually willing to do that, though I didn't think the wife and son were going to follow me in doing that. And I asked the question, like, is there another way to do this? Because I like them. I want to keep them with me. And that was the impetus for the idea of Soup Kitchen. I'm a chef. I'm a kitchen dog. I'm not really inherently a business person. So it wasn't about percentage of profits or how that's like, what can I do here that makes this step there? And that's what I'm doing. And, talking about it, like that you talk about allies, I was just talking about it with my wife at one point. I'm like, if we have like this much money, we can get the process started. Someone walked by and said, I have that much money. I'm in business. And the thing to learn, what I've learned about this, that when I first came to Rick, to do a bigger game thing, I had the bigger game in place. I knew what I was doing it. But in the course of doing this, I actually found out that my bigger game had a bigger game. Because to me, ending hunger is easy. The math works. That's simple. Food is something I've known for 30 years. So that process really it's not even intimidating to me, which is probably good. I need a little bit of, audacity to say, I end world hunger and gloss over it like that. But things go on with that, because if you're having the soup, let's say, one of the things that I know that's happening, like hunger is the tip of the iceberg. If it takes like 30 spoonfuls to, eat a bowl of soup, that means you've done 30 times of going, I'm helping someone, and I'm helping someone. It's kind of like spiritual sit-ups. I'm in effect, and I know this, I'm actually changing humanity, and getting people intentionally giving. And not only that, people who could care less about giving, if I could just make the soup good and get them to buy because it tastes good and it's the right price on the shelf, they're going to help whether they want to or not. And quite frankly, that's fine. I don't need to change your mind in conversation. I mean, when I'm out doing tastings, it's about try the soup, because people don't really want to have the whole, by the way, I'm going to make you a better person, I'm going to make it a better planet. It doesn't really fit on the soup package. But it's happening. And it was so fascinating for me to learn that. It actually makes the process of selling soup easier, because that's the least of what I'm doing. So there's my journey in a bigger game.
Thank you so much. So we have a little something for you. Don't go. Don't go. We have a little something for you. So we've decided it's time to give out lots of awards from the bigger game world. So we have something called the Bigger Game Player Award. He didn't know this was happening.
He doesn't know this is happening.
He doesn't know this is happening. So congratulations, Jamie Klein, in recognition of your, oh my gosh, I can't read this, your passion and commitment to end world hunger, with your logo right there.
It sure is.
So, congratulations. And a gift to keep it going, to support for your good work. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much.
I appreciate it all, as do everyone.
You bet. So that's happening in your community right here, these kinds of things. They're happening all around us, right? And so it's so fun to feature them. If you have ideas and want to feature people, let us know. We're creating a website with YouTube, and we want to really start to promote the good work that's happening in your world and your communities. Out there in the world where you're watching at home too. So I just want to bring this to a close. Really, thank you so much for coming and hearing a little bit of the message of playing a bigger game. So it says 9 minutes to learn. We handled that part. I just want to underline the lifetime to live part. And again, I do a lot of work with individuals and organizations, and they're very successful, right? And we start to think like this. This is how we think. What's my job? I've got a job. What's my career path? What's my role that I play at work? Those are all sort of the traditional ways to think. And what I'm always asking them and inviting them to think about is, okay, what's the bigger game of that job? Like, I've worked with lots of actors over the years, and, yay to that, they want to become an actor, and yay to that part, but I'm always asking, okay, what's the bigger game of yourself as an actor? What are you really about as an actor? A great example of this, last week I did this workshop I was talking to you about in St. Louis. It was a global and multinational organization again, and very successful, senior level, money is like, they're making a lot of money, all that stuff, but they needed to go to the next level. And the next level for them was, how do we just double our profits? How do we just make more money at the same thing that we do? And they brought me in to sort of create a different conversation and start to think like a bigger game team rather than just a team that can make more money at the same thing they do. Started to shift the paradigm of the conversation. Well, I can tell you the first day, a little confusion. I don't know if this is going to work, Second day, they got so lit up. Can't really talk a lot about what they did because of confidentiality, but the bottom line is they realized they wanted to go into the education business. They sell a particular product, but they realized the public didn't know enough about it. So they got all excited about going into the Cub Scouts and the Girl Scouts and the local Ys. They said, we got to reach out into our community and start to train everybody about this product that we want to bring to the world and why it matters to people. And so they started to bring to the game this whole idea of community outreach, which was so not in their thinking 48 hours before. So I tell you that again because it starts to shift the paradigm of the conversation of what are we really about? What are we here for? There's a job that I've got that I've signed up for maybe, but what is the bigger game that I can bring to it is a very different kind of conversation. So I invite you to be in that inquiry and those questions for yourself, because here's what I know. Life goes in the direction of the questions you ask yourself, not the answers that we're addicted to finding. We're so addicted to finding the answers. My whole life has been just a question. Well, what's next? Well, maybe we'll do that and we'll try that. It's an amazing thing to let your life be guided by the questions. And that's the job of this. That's the job of the book. I hope you're inspired by it. But what I hope it really does is activate the questions that will guide you for the rest of your life. And that's what it means to play a bigger game for the rest of your life. Because my dad said to me, and this is kind of lives in me as my compelling purpose. My dad did General Motors 47 years, did a really good job of it. The interesting thing is he signed up for a plan, the whole package at the end. The whole thing changed about 4 years before he retired. Completely changed the package on him. Now, this is the 40s and 50s. It was a different era. It's what you thought you were going to get, but the world changed. So he had a beautiful life raising kids, but he did say to me, he says, Rick, don't think anybody's going to take care of you. It all changed for me. His heart wasn't broken, but you could feel the hurt. And the phrase he kind of laid into me there was, when you get to the end of your life, you want to look back and say that was a great ride, rather than I wish I had. And that's what I want for every single one of us in this room. That's what I want for you at home. That's the job of what I'm doing around the world in workshop form, keynote form, corporations, individuals, I don't care. Hay House even asked me, they said, well, where should the book be on the shelf in the bookstore? I don't know, organizations, self-help. You get the message. It's for people. So thank you for trying it on tonight. Thank you for coming to celebrate this. This is, this new book is fun to get it out into the world and see. It seems to be selling well. We were on some list the other day. It was kind of fun to be on a list of sales. So thank you much. Here's how we close any bigger game session. So hold out your left hand. This is the world as it is. There's a lot of great things going on in it. There's some challenging things going on in it, as we know. There's kids who need support. There's dogs that need homes. There's billions of things going on out there that we could interact with as people. Hold out your right hand. This is you, the bigger game player. You've come to this planet at this time to do this particular thing or many things. And notice in your left hand is the world as it is. In your right hand is the world as you would like it to be. I hope you're doing this at home too. Notice there's a gap between the world as it is and the world as you would like it to be. Bigger game players close the gap. Bring your hands together. Thank you so much for coming tonight to celebrate with me this unique message that I want to bring to the world. May it support you and bring a little bit more of a sense of purpose into your life. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.